Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Minds Inside in tonight's Game Time. We'll check in with the returning F2 Logistics cargo movers as they break free from their two-year hiatus in the Champions League.
And we have more Lasalnians on board. LA Revilla, Prince Rivero, and James Mangahas join us to share their excitement for the PBA 3x3 season, and we'll also take a trip down UAAP memory lane. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game.
God's perfect time has arrived. The F2 Logistics cargo movers are making their comeback after a two-year hiatus. The squad postponed their PVL debut earlier due to injuries, but are now ready to show their hearts of a champion. Our very own Billy Capistrano sat down with veterans Kianna, Majoy and Kalei in this edition of Inside the Game.
Joining us tonight on Inside the Game are the members of the much-awaited returning F2 cargo movers. They're veterans, the crafty Kianna, the statuesque Majoy, and the unstoppable Kalei. Ladies, welcome to the game. Now, finally, in God's perfect time, ito na nga, you girls are back. How does it feel like to be back after such a long time? Kalei, let's start with you.
It feels so good. It honestly is like we haven't even missed a beat. It was really fun for me to come back into the environment and see my teammates and how much they have changed and grown. It has been very uplifting being back on the court, working hard with my teammates, and really I can't ask for anything more.
I agree with Kalei na nakakamiss talaga to be with everybody and see everybody's growth over the past couple of months.
Yes, syempre galing kami sa national team and ngayon nasa F2 na kami with our teammates. Feels like home and yung environment sobrang working hard yung lahat ng mga tao.
Actually, I'm very excited to to play again with my F2 teammates kasi ang tagal na namin di naglalaro. We haven't played together in like 2 years. So this will be our first competition in a very long time. So I'm very excited also to play against the other teams na hindi pa namin nakakalaro.
Kalei, we all know that Coach Ramil's practices are really deadly, but can you walk us through, how you guys have been preparing for the Champions League?
There's not a lot of things that we are doing differently from when we last had our trainings back at LaSalle. It really is, I think we're just trying to maximize the time that we're given to prepare for this competition. I know, Coach, there's no such thing as being too over prepared for him, so he is really taking advantage of the month that we get to be. So we have 2-day trainings, and each training, Coach Ramil is not like any coach, right? So we work hard and we think we're gonna get something out of it, but we find ourselves right back within a 2-hour time zone from a 2-hour time span between our 2 trainings every day. So it's like, okay, it's our responsibility to just get the recovery and the rest in between those times, because when we step on the court, Coach expects us to be 100%, no matter how tired we are, no matter how sore we are. Like, he does not saying that he doesn't care, but he expects us to be on our A game, like every single training session. So
right.
It has a lot of pressure. It's a lot of competition, but that's how champions are made. And Coach Ramil has shown us all that he's the guy that, we're in good hands, and he's the one that's going to take us to the championship. So we really trust him, and whatever we do, we just got to do it as best as we can.
I can only imagine what we're gonna see out of you when the Champions League starts. Now, Kianna, sabi nga, napakalapit na ng Champions League. Gaano kayo kagigil to play again at gaano kabangis ang magiging pagbabalik nila sa court?
Ayun, we've been training for a long time already actually, even before the PVL. Unfortunately, di kami nakasali. So, ayun, we have been training for a long time already, and like what I've said, we're super excited to go back in the court and play again and show everyone kung sino ang F2.
Kalei, you for one, earlier this year you played in Puerto Rico, and we all know how skilled you are, but do you have any new tricks up your sleeve? You know, what aspects of your game did you focus on when you were there?
When I was there in Puerto Rico, they really relied on me to pass so that we can run a really strong offense. One thing I think I'm bringing back to F2 is just more solid receive and blocking, especially because it's something I've always struggled with here in the Philippines, because I've never been able to really like just tap jump and seal the net. I always have to go all the way up. And so being back, in Puerto Rico with players and hitters that are taller than me, I was really able to kind of get back to my own blocking style. And now I can see the difference and compare myself to my defense at the net. And now that I'm back in the Philippines, faster offense and smaller blockers, I'm able to implement the time, like the change in my mind. Okay, not going straight up, we're just sealing right over. And I think that's one of my best improvements of this year.
Well, we can't wait to see that, definitely. And you know, Majoy, kayo naman ni Kianna, alongside Kalei, of course. You played for the national team recently. What were your key takeaways from that experience?
Since yun yung first international tournament namin after 2 years, it gave us confidence again. Kasi parang for a time, nagda-doubt kami kung kaya pa ba namin mag-volleyball. And then biglang sabak sa international league. So, yun, yung takeaway ko yun is na-build na yung confidence ko coming into this Champions League kasi na-experience ko na ulit yung volleyball.
It's good to have new teammates. We have 4 additional new teammates, Iris, Jesma, Chloe, and Rem. So, ayun, it's nice also to have like new players come in. So, there are a lot of like different personalities. We get to gain new friends then, and yun, additional talent sa team. So we're very excited also to play with them.
Now, speaking of your new teammates, as Kianna mentioned, you have Iris, Jesma, Rem, and Chloe. Kalei, what do you think can they contribute to F2?
Iris is going to be a really big impact on our team since Kim is not going to be on the court with us. It's really that we're focusing on having her connect with each of us. Also, it's really good having other middles. So having Jesma and Chloe is on the opposite, but having her to take away some of the reps from Majoy and Abby, especially because we are playing a lot of volleyball. It's really nice to have extra people in the gym and having them, come in and play during the scrimmages with us and see like, oh, okay, this might be something we might see on the other side of the net from other teams. It's a different style, super different personality, of course. We all have fun though, and it's nice to adjust to new players and new faces.
What is your message to the F2 fans who are so excited to finally watch you guys play in the Champions League?
We want to thank you all for the support, and hopefully you get to support us sa upcoming league namin. Finally, we are going to play.
To all our F2 supporters, finally makakalaro na kami, and continue supporting us this PNVF Champions League this coming November 20 to 25. And we give namin yung best.
And lastly, Kalei, message to your fans. What can they expect from your team this Champions League?
F2 fans, we're back, and we are not us without you guys. We really want to thank you all for supporting us even when we weren't playing, and still, giving us those yellow hearts and being all on our social media and encouraging us. It's not easy being an athlete, especially during this time, but having you guys to play in front of and work for, it makes it all easier and much more enjoyable. So we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. It was so nice chatting with you, Kianna, Majoy, and Kalei, and good luck in your upcoming games. And of course, thank you for joining us. I'm Billy Capistrano for The Game.
And that is Billy Capistrano with our F2 Logistics Cargo Movers. You know what, Pao? Sobrang nakaka-excite because the fans were so happy to see some of the F2 players play in the ABC. Pero ngayon, after 2 years, buong-buo sila coming. Diba?
You know, sabi nga ni Majoy, feels like home. And
Yeah.
I'm sure for a lot of volleyball fans, seeing F2 back in contention for a competition, it feels just like that. And of course, a lot of intrigue there. Iris Olenada, sanabi nga ni Kalei should be there to fill in the big shoes of Kim Fajardo, who might not be on the court for F2. So a lot to talk about there.
You know, yeah, it's exciting to see the place that will be set up by Iris. And you know what? The fans are gonna be excited for that. And you know what? Hindi lang volleyball ang pagtutuunan ng pansin. We also have basketball after the break. LA Revilla, Prince Rivero, James Mangahas join us to share their excitement for the PBA 3x3 season. Stay tuned, you're watching The Game.
Welcome back to The Game. I'm Paulo De Rosario. Patuloy ang panamdam ng lakas ng tatlo. We are 10 days away from the much-anticipated inaugural season at the PBA 3x3. Last night, we caught up with 3 former Ateneo players competing in the league. This time around, it's the Lasallian Pride taking on the floor. Joining us for our discussion, our former UAAP champions, Revilla, James Mangahas, and Prince Rivero. Guys, welcome to the show.
What's up?
Evening.
Evening. Grabbing energy ni Prince. Woo! You know what, Prince? Because you have the high energy level, I'm going to start with you here. And first of all, when you look at the names that you saw in the 3x3 lineups from all the teams out there, syempre may mga returning players. There are players that want to make it back to the 5-on-5 circuit. There are players who just want to really ball out there and show what they got. Are there any names in particular na nakita mo doon na, uy, I get to play against this guy finally, or I watched this guy growing up?
To be honest, nasend na nga sa amin lahat yung list and names ng mga players na makakalaro namin. But really, ngayon, we're just focusing on what we can control and what we can do. And, I'm trying not to focus on other teams muna and other names, kasi sobrang tagal since the last time I've played na competitive basketball. So, for me, what's really important is paano kami magpo-perform more than iisipin namin kung sino yung mga makakalaban.
Yes, and now let's move on to a more veteran, more experienced player. James, sino yung minamata mo ngayong 3x3?
Honestly, yung team namin is medyo under the radar. So, yung mga big names kasi like Larry Fonacher. So, I'm having a chance to play with him, with him now. So, parang excited ako. And of course, he's from Ateneo. So, hindi ko siya nabutan. And this time, I have a chance to play against him.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And it's always nice to see yung mixture na yun, Lasal, Ateneo, and of course, everyone else. LA, obviously 3x3 basketball is a bit different compared to 5-on-5. Eh. Mas physical. The cardio that you need in it probably a lot higher because grabe takbuhan yan palagi. It's almost non-stop. How are you preparing personally, your body, your mind for this type of tournament?
Tama. Sa totoo lang, I don't have any idea. I've seen games, but I haven't played this type of basketball. I mean, this level, hindi ko pa nalalaro to. So, I think overall, I'm just excited. I'm happy to be able to play basketball again.
You know, and we're really excited to see you back on the court. Same with everyone, actually, the three of you. Eh. And the thing is, I know that the three of you are relatively familiar with each other. You've seen each other play and all of that. Kaya we're going to do a little thing here. We're going to ask to scout each other and see, you know, what comes up there. Who's our first one on the block?
Prince, how excited are you to go up against LA Revilla? What makes him a tough opponent? What do you think?
I've heard a lot of good things about Kuya LA. Actually, he's one of the people na I look up to. I was able to see them in training when I was in high school. I went to TAF to train with them for a little bit when they won the championship. He's someone na I really look up to, and you know, to be able to play against him in this type of level, like sa PBA 3-on-3, this is something na isa ako sa lahat ng mga players na maglalaro sa 3-on-3 na unang makaka-experience.
Yes.
Kumbaga kami yung pioneer ng PBA 3-on-3 eh. So I'm really excited na mabigyan ng chance na makapaglaro competitively and especially against sila Kuya LA.
Yeah, that's what I like about you, Prince. Sobrang respectful. And LA, medyo kinilig ka dun eh. Nakita ko sa camera eh. James.
High praise.
Oh, James, syempre, you have young guys like Prince coming in. Again, eager to make an impression at a very early part of their career. When you know that you're playing against guys like that, what do veterans need to consider going into the court with them?
First, yung conditioning namin. So since hindi na tayo bata and kailangan natin mag-prepare especially dong sa mga like ni Prince. Siyempre, di naman sila, nagpe-prepare din sila. And we know Prince, he's the tough guy. So di ko siya naabutan. I played with LA for 2 years, I think, sa Lasal. Si Prince medyo lower batch siya eh. So pinapanood ko na lang siya through TV. So, yun, pag nakikita ko maglaro si Prince, sobrang physical. So, yun, in-expect ko na pag I played against him, so he's gonna be more physical, especially sa 3x3.
Yes. And how about you, LA? What makes James tough to stop?
James, sobrang crafty na player si James. Ganyan lang siya, tahimik lang, pero magulang yan sa loob ng court. I think what's make him a tough player is that he's an overall player. I mean, he's an all-around player.
Offense,
he can pass,
defense,
he can shoot, and he can defend.
Oh, for sure. Nalala ko yan dati. And in fact, we can go back to that just a bit kasi when we return, we'll talk UAAP idols and favorite memories with our three former De La Salle Green Archers. Stay tuned. You're watching the game.
Welcome back to the game. With the animo spirit filling up the show tonight, let's take a trip down memory lane with our former Green Archers, Prince Rivero, LA Revilla, and James Mangahas. Mga idol, let's talk about your UAAP favorites.
And you know what? Looking at this list, so syempre we're gonna talk about your favorites. But then I have a personal favorite here, eh, because si James was part of that championship team that beat UE in a step ladder. Tama yan, diba? Like
Yes.
they were undefeated in the elimination round. And then for some reason, for some way, you were able to beat UE and become champions. Can you talk about that season in particular, James? What made it so special? And then when you reached that finals against UE, anong sinasabi sa'yo ni Coach Franz?
Yung season na yun is sobrang special kasi coming back from suspension year, if you remember. So lahat kami is excited to play. And prior to the UAAP, yung mga minor leagues, summer leagues, nag-champion kami. So parang sabi namin, useless naman yung pagiging champion natin kung hindi natin nakukuha yung UAAP. So yun nga, UAAP is 14-0 yung UE, sobrang powerhouse. From first 5, second 5, third 5. Even yung third 5 nila pwedeng maging first 5 sa ibang team.
True.
So ganun sila kalakas. So sobrang blessed lang kami kasi yung step ladder yung naging hindi siya naging final four eh. So step ladder siya. So ang tagal ng pahinga ng UE. I think 23 days sila nagpahinga. So kami parang tuloy-tuloy from number 2 kami. So may playoffs pa kami against sa Ateneo eh. So playoffs kami against sa Ateneo, battle for second. So we won and then we're second place. So step ladder nga. And then blessed lang kami kasi tuloy-tuloy yung laro namin and then yung momentum namin, hindi kami tumigil. Unlike UE, kahit na nagpa-practice game sila or what. Iba kasi yung
Iba yung game fit eh. Oo. Ready kayo. And again, that was one of the more memorable championships that LaSalle has won. And one of my personal favorites, sobrang biased ako doon. Pero yes, one of my personal favorites. But then, since we talk about favorites, where do we start?
You know what? We can start with the favorite players. How about you, James? You chose JV Casio.
That's your favorite player, favorite LaSallian player growing up,
diba?
tama.
Co-finals MVP that time when you guys were champions.
Everyone knows JV. So JV, super humble. When you see him sa court, he's sobrang deceiving. Hindi mo expect na shooter, magaling dumipensa sa offense, and sobrang talino maglaro.
You know,
So parang
tama ka, James. And actually, the reason why I cut you off there is because si LA, favorite player na din yun eh. I mean, do you agree with that assessment so far?
Yes. I agree. Playing alongside JV Casio, he's the complete opposite of an epitome of being like what's a stereotype of being a Lasallian.
Ano yung stereotype natin? Ano nga ba yun?
Stereotype natin, mayabang.
Maangin, not mayabang naman.
Mayabang.
Okay.
Mayabang, maangas.
Oo. Okay, sige. I don't know if I agree with you.
Si JV yung opposite. Siya yung opposite doon.
Humility.
So that's why he's my favorite player. And also, yun nga, ang taas ng IQ sa paglaro.
Of course. And then, syempre, Prince, we'll move on to you. You actually picked 2. Si Willie Wilson at si Ryan Araya.
Yup.
And,
Willie Wilson.
So can you explain why? I have a feeling kasi Ryan, naging teammate mo yun eh.
That's partly. But first yung kay Kuya Willie muna, I was given the chance na to be around him when my dad was part of their coaching staff before sa PBA. And you know, I was able to pick his brain and ask him stuff about college and about the pros. And there's something I learned from him is sabi niya, things won't come to you easy. I mean, he's an undersized big, same as me also. But you know, he fought his way into the PBA and he fought to last. I mean, he lasted in the PBA for so long and he was a successful player also. And Kuya Ryan naman, I was able to be his teammate sa Rain or Shine and I'm truly blessed with that. And even before we became teammates, like I was watching him while growing up. you know, he's one of the players from the other team na pag nalaman ko sila yung kalaban, parang bad trip naman, Ryan Aranya na naman yung kalaban.
Yes.
Kasi whenever kailangan ng score ng kalaban, alam mo yung siya yung parang palaging magic bunot. And like what Kuya LA said, yung stereotype of being a Lasallian, siya yun eh. Yung pagdating sa loob ng court, ang yabang, parang ang yabang. Alam mo yun, pag nakita mo siya, parang ayaw mo siya yung type ng player na ayaw mong maging kalaban.
Yeah.
Pero off the court, saksaka naman siya ng bait. As in, siya yung type naman ng tao na gusto mo na nasa corner mo talaga off the court. And especially on the court kasi he's someone na makaka-contribute in a big way. And lahat naman siguro tayo napanood natin yung mga videos nila before sa Lasal, and not just there but also in the PBA and how he contributed and how he made the mark for himself. Same goes with Kuya Willie.
You know, I absolutely agree, Prince. And alam mo, I remember my favorite Ryan Aranya, Lasal memory, yung na-technical siya for dancing with the ball.
Was that this?
Against
Sumasayaw.
Oh, yung sumayaw siya. Grabe yun.
Was that this? Oh my God.
Anyway,
I love it.
Pao, we can move to favorite rivals.
Actually,
Kasi
oo.
yung rival na pinili ni James at saka ni Prince, parehong Ateneo, the Eagles. And you know, James, you had Chris Chu there. You were against Chris Chu, part of the Mythical Five. And Prince was against the Nieto brothers, also against 30. What can you talk about sa Eagles?
Playing against Ateneo is sobrang memorable. Kasi for me, all of the basketball players gustong ma-feel yung ganong crowd, ganong intense, ganong ka-intense yung game. Parang kahit na sabihin mong yung lineup ng isang team is smaller or mas malakas yung isa, pagdating ng playing against Ateneo, nag-iiba eh. It's more on pride yung pinaglalabanan.
Yeah.
So, ibang klase. Pagpasok mo pa lang ng court, goosebumps ka. Especially nung first time ko, sobrang memorable eh.
No,
Pagpasok ko ng court, punong-puno yung Araneta Coliseum tapos hindi kayo magkakarinigan.
Yeah.
So, dalawang colors na makikita mo, it's blue and green.
Blue or green. 100% agree with that. Pero si LA might have a different answer only because he won a championship at the expense of UST, if I remember that correctly. And then iba na rin yung crowd ng UST eh. Can you talk about yung championship na yon and just how special it was every time LaSalle and UST went up against each other? Kasi may sibling rivalry dun eh during that time eh.
I think hindi lang kudos to the UST fans. I think hands down sila yung the best fans sa UAAP pagdating sa basketball for me. But then looking back nung season na yon, prior kasi sa season we had major changes pagdating sa lineup namin. Nagpalit kami ng coach, I think 2 weeks before ng start ng season. So for us, parang medyo how is this gonna work?
Yeah.
So may mga doubts na kami. But then, I don't know, for some reason, first time ko rin naka-experience ng coaching philosophy or program ni Coach Juno na iba yung approach.
Yeah.
It wasn't typical, he wasn't a typical college coach. Like for us, parang he treated us differently. Parang naging professional yung dating.
Yeah.
Parang we were playing for a professional coach. Parang he treated us with respect. He talked to us with like it's a different approach. Parang
iba
lalaki sa lalaki.
Oo, gets like parang he
parang
approaches you as a person and as a professional na may responsibility.
Parang hindi siya hindi siya nagagalit na parang mga bata kami. So parang with that, parang naging maganda yung takbo without noticing it.
Yeah.
Actually, yung first round, sorry,
LA. We actually have to cut you for time right now, but I completely understand what you're saying, especially with what Coach Juno did with the program. Kasi iba talaga eh. We saw that. Even I was worried kasi we changed from Coach Gia Banilla to Coach Juno Soler, and there were a lot of questions, but it all worked out in the end. In fact, champions pa kayo. at the end of
Yeah.
that year. Guys, thank you very
Yes,
much
yes.
for joining us. We could talk a lot longer about Lasal, pero nandito si
Okay.
Ai, hindi pwede daw eh. Oo, pero thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Good
Thank
night.
you, Pele, Kuya James.
Thank you.
Ingat.
Inspiring legends talaga, no? Talagang
Absolutely.
chapter per chapter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ai Tinsay.
I'm Paul De Rosario, and this has been The Game.